Namaste, my name is Amar Vyas and welcome to another episode of Today in Bharat's History. Now, on behalf of Gatha Story, thank you so much for your feedback. Few of you subscribed the show, and I got a lot of positive comments about the first ever episode. So, coming very quickly to today's episode, we will talk about 4 or 5 events that happened today, the 3rd of April, and a couple of events, maybe three, that happen tomorrow, the 4th of April. Like I had mentioned before, that we will try and have 2 or 3 episodes every week rather than doing a daily show. And anything else of interest that I pick up along the way, I may do that as a previous day or a next day event. And so today is Bhagwan Swaminarayan's Jayanti on 3rd of April in 1781. He was born in a village called Chapaya in Uttar Pradesh. And of course, he later went down to Gujarat, and that's where the Swaminarayan sect and its subsects were created. They have millions of followers all over the world. They have some phenomenal temples, including the Akshardham temple in Delhi as well as in Gandhinagar in Gujarat. The temples in the US, the second largest temple, I believe, in the world, and then also the temple in the UAE, which was recently inaugurated by Modi ji. So, Jai Swami Narayan, with his blessings, let's get on with the rest of the show. Today is also the birth anniversary of Sam Manekshaw, who was a field marshal of the Indian Army. He played a phenomenal role or a significant role in our nation's victory in the 1971 war. He earlier, during the Second World War, he had taken quite a few bullets and he lived to tell that tale, which in itself is an interesting anecdote. Another very moving anecdote about him is that he had the disagreements with the government of the day in the mid 70s, and they stopped his pension for 3 decades nearly. And it was almost towards the end of his life when he was in the hospital, when the then president, late APJ Abdul Kalam ji, went to meet him. It was discovered that his pension had not been paid and it ran into more than 1 crore of rupees, and he did not utter a single word. Goes to say a lot about his on-field, literally, and off-the-field personality. Speaking of personality, another historic personality who has had a great influence, particularly in Maharashtra, is Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. Today is his Punyatithi. There are twice this event is celebrated. Once is by calendar-wise, the Gregorian calendar. Other is by the Hindu lunar calendar-wise. There is a very famous Marathi play called Yethe Oshala Mrityu, which literally means this was the place where even death felt ashamed. And this has to do with how Sambhaji Maharaj was treacherously arrested, tortured, his tongue was cut, he was literally skinned alive, his eyes were gouged out and by Aurangzeb's soldiers, and he did not utter a single word. And of course, after his death, his body was cut to pieces and literally dumped into the river. His followers retrieved the pieces and gave him a proper funeral. So this is a very moving historical event. I thought of mentioning that. It's not very well known, some of these events. Similarly, the city of Aurangabad, formerly known as Aurangabad in Maharashtra, it has been recently renamed as Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar in his honor. Moving on to the next event that we have today, and that would be the Punyatithi of Kishori Amonkar ji. So she hailed from Maharashtra, very famous Hindustani classical singer. In fact, on my other project, the Manohar Ketkar project, which is a collection of live recordings of stalwarts from Hindustani classical music. These were recorded by my wife's uncle in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then later, from the old cassette spools, tape spools, they were moved to cassette, and from there to CD, and then now digitized, and they are available for streaming. So there are quite a few performances by Kishori Amonkarji. I'll try and add the link to the Manohar Ketkar project, that's that website as well. Speaking of tomorrow, April the 4th, we have 3 events that I would like to talk about. First is the foundation of Microsoft. Incidentally, Google, Apple, Microsoft, they all have some event of historical significance in the very first week of April. So in the previous episode, we spoke about Apple, foundation of Apple, and also tomorrow, the 4th of April in 1975. in 1905, the Kangra Valley earthquake happened, which led to the loss of 20,000 people. 120 years ago, we are talking about disaster response, early warning systems, medical facilities available. There were a lot of constraints that the people had to live with back then, and of course, it was a remote region. It still is. Next, we have the formation of the Indian National Army into regiments. The Indian National Army was created much earlier, but it was structured into the form of regiments this very day. And later in the year, as some of the major battles took place, as we come closer to their anniversaries, I will cover more about the INA at that time. So these were some of the events, historical events that took place on 3rd and 4th of April. I hope that you found this information useful and helpful. I look forward to your comments, feedback, and please do subscribe and share this video if you found any utility in today in Bharat's history. My name is Amar Vyas. Thank you so much again. Vande Mataram. You can see that the setup is slightly different today. Is a journey, a learning journey for me as well, as we produced new content in a video format.